Brenda and I are just bored today. We have absolutely nothing to do today. Very lazy, boring Saturday afternoon. So we're just going to take a walk up here to the local hamburger joint. And what makes this little walk noteworthy, or I should say what makes this hamburger joint noteworthy, is that it was once owned by John Stamos' father, the actor John Stamos. John Stamos actually grew up in this area, and his father owned a few different little, small little restaurants and hamburger shops. And this little hamburger joint on the corner of Del Amo Boulevard and Pioneer Street used to be one of their main holdings. And back then it was called Duke's Hamburgers, and it was basically a mainstay for the neighborhood. Everyone in the neighborhood here in Cerritos would go to Duke's. I mean, it was a really popular hamburger joint. It was called Duke's, I believe it was called Duke's Charbroiled Hamburgers. And if I can find a picture of the original building, I may include it. But now, the building pretty much looks the same now. It's still the same building. It's the same structure. It's been painted a different color. But it's the same building, and now it's called Omega Burgers. And this is a very busy part of town. The hamburger place is right on the corner of Pioneer Boulevard and Del Amo Boulevard. And both of these boulevards are main thoroughfares here in Cerritos and Lakewood. So it's always busy here, but being a weekend, it's going to be slightly less busy than it is during the week. So I figured, what the hell? I figured, why not just take a short little walk up here? And this location is basically, it's about maybe like a 6 or 7 minute walk from my childhood home. And just to give you a better idea, there's a strip mall right here on the corner of Del Amo and Pioneer. And this strip mall has been here for decades. And my little gym that I work out, Crunch Fitness, is there. That used to be LA Fitness. It used to be Bally's Total Fitness, and originally it was Holiday Health Spa. So this is just to give you an idea of the location. This is right on the border of Cerritos and Lakewood. Actually, this is Cerritos on this side of the street, and then once you get on the opposite side of Del Amo, it turns into Lakewood. So that's Lakewood, and the hamburger joint is basically in Lakewood as well. But man, Duke's Hamburgers, I mean, they used to be really well known for their pastrami sandwiches. They had the absolute best pastrami sandwiches. Like, I don't know what type of meat. I mean, you know, the cut of pastrami that they used to use, it was like really fatty. It was fatty and it was greasy and it was juicy, but it was extremely tasty. And then you'd order either French fries or onion rings, and they would, you know, back then they would just pile the onion rings, you know, to the point that they would be overflowing out of the bag. You know, onion rings or French fries, you'd order a large order, and, you know, they'd fill the bag up completely, and then the bag would just be overflowing. They'd always throw in a lot of extra. So it was a really good place to eat. And I haven't eaten at Omega Burgers, because after they sold Duke's, it shut down for a short period of time, and then it reopened as Omega Burgers. So now we're on the corner of Del Amo and Pioneer, and we're gonna have to cross the street. We're gonna walk around back and just loop around. There's so much traffic out here. It was kind of hard to cross the street, but this is the rear of the building, and as you can see, it's a drive-through. And it's kind of weird because the drive-through has always been a little bit backwards, where you have to reach over the passenger seat to hand the clerk your money. So you're on the driver's side of the vehicle, but then the window where the person takes your money is on the passenger side of the vehicle. So it's always been sort of reversed. It's always been kind of awkward to drive through here, but this is how it pretty much always looked back when it was owned by John Stamos' family. This is the same exact building. Like I said, it's been repainted. It used to be more of a red and yellow. The coloring was different, so they repainted it, but everything else is the same. The parking lot's the same. The drive-through is the same. The menu, I mean, obviously the menu's changed, but the menu outline, the frame is the same. And this is the parking lot. And oh, it's hard to hold on to Brenda and do this, but as you can see, right across the street, there's an H-Mart market. And back when this was Duke's, that market used to be Alpha Beta. That used to be an Alpha Beta there. And that was an Alpha Beta even going back to when I was in elementary school, that was an Alpha Beta. But Duke's was always here. This hamburger joint was always here. And like I say, it was one of the most popular hamburger joints in the neighborhood. You know, all my friends would come here, all the neighborhood would come here. And, you know, like I said, they were known for their pastrami sandwiches. Their cheeseburgers were excellent. And growing up, I didn't even know who John Stamos was, you know. I mean, he became famous pretty much, you know, sometime, what, in the 80s, I guess. And I had no clue that he was ever affiliated with what used to be Duke's restaurant here, Duke's Charboiled Restaurant. But I only learned out later that John Stamos' father was quite the restaurateur, and this was one of his holdings. They also had a place called Yellow Basket Hamburgers in Gardena. And just to give you a better idea of Del Amo Boulevard, this is Del Amo Boulevard heading west in the direction of the 605 freeway. And then you have a little Starbucks coffee there and a Del Taco. That Del Taco's been there for decades. And then the little strip mall across the street. So yeah, just to give you an idea of what it looks like. But the hamburger place itself pretty much looks identical to back when it was Duke's. It's just been repainted and different signage, but everything else is the same. And John Stamos, he grew up in nearby Cypress. I believe he grew up about 5 blocks away from this restaurant, and he graduated from John F. Kennedy High School in the city of Cypress. So he's a local boy. Good old John Stamos.